Have you ever met a man in his late 70s, maybe even early 80s, who still moves with purpose, speaks with clarity, and laughs like someone who never lost the fire inside? And then maybe in the same breath, you've seen someone else, same age, same background, but his eyes seem distant. He shuffles through life like he's already said goodbye. His shoulders are lower, his energy's gone, like someone pressed pause on his spirit. What if I told you that the difference between the two might come down to something no one ever talks about? Not vitamins, not a gym routine, not even good genes, but rather a private personal connection to the one thing society has spent decades telling older adults to shut down: their own bodies. Now, before you click away, hear me out. This isn't about shame, it's not about performance, and it's certainly not about chasing some fantasy of your younger years. It's about health. Real, measurable, powerful health, physical, emotional, and even spiritual. It's about reclaiming the part of you that was never meant to be silenced just because you turned 60, 70, or 80. I know this is a topic that might make some of you feel uncomfortable. That's okay. If you were raised in a generation where self-pleasure, even the idea of it, was treated as sinful, shameful, or childish, you're not alone. For too long, society has pushed older men into the shadows when it comes to intimacy with themselves. But science is painting a very different picture now, one that says reconnecting with your body could help reduce your risk of heart disease, sharpen your memory, even lower your chance of prostate cancer, and yes, help you sleep better, feel lighter, and regain the energy you thought was gone forever. So, let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you felt truly alive in your own skin? Not just getting through the day, but genuinely, quietly, unmistakably alive. If it's been a while, that's not your fault. It might just mean you've forgotten something your body has been waiting for you to remember. In this video, we're going to explore something that could change how you age, not in theory, but in practice. I'll share stories, science, and a simple method you can start using today, right in the comfort of your own home, to reconnect with the vitality you still have inside you. Let's begin this journey together, because you deserve more than just more years. You deserve more life in the years you have. Breaking the silence. What your body's been trying to tell you. I want to pause here for a moment, because I know this isn't an easy conversation to have. For many of you watching, the idea of self-pleasure might feel awkward, maybe even uncomfortable. You weren't raised to talk about these things, especially not openly. Some of you grew up in homes where this topic was met with silence or disapproval, or even shame. Your church may have told you it was wrong, your parents might have said it was inappropriate, and society, well, it painted a picture where older adults weren't supposed to feel desire at all, as if intimacy, even the quiet kind, had an expiration date. But here's what I want you to hear from me today, heart to heart. That silence, it wasn't truth. It was just a story someone else handed you. And your body, it's been quietly disagreeing for decades, because while the world may have told you to shut down, your biology has always had a different plan, a beautiful, powerful one. You see, self-pleasure isn't just about fleeting moments of release. It's actually one of the most natural ways to keep your body and your brain strong, balanced, and deeply alive. Let's talk about what really happens when you allow yourself to reconnect with your body. First, your body produces testosterone. Yes, even as you age. That hormone helps maintain your muscle mass, bone strength, and gives you a sense of inner vitality. Next comes oxytocin, sometimes called the love hormone. It softens your stress levels, soothes your nervous system, and helps you feel safe in your own skin. And then there are endorphins, your body's natural pain relievers. They lift your mood, ease joint discomfort, and help you sleep more peacefully at night. And that's just the beginning. Every time you gently stimulate your body, even if it's not focused on performance, you're encouraging healthy blood flow. And that matters more than you might think. Blood flows to your brain, keeping your memory sharp to your heart, supporting cardiovascular health, and yes, to your lower body, helping maintain healthy tissue, pelvic floor strength, and even bladder control. This isn't wishful thinking. It's not new age fluff. It's science. Quiet, well-documented, and too often ignored. And for men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, This kind of healthy, consistent connection can mean the difference between slowly fading and gently reigniting. So, if a part of you still feels uncertain, that's okay. But know this, your body remembers. And it's never too late to listen. Let's keep going. There's more to uncover, more that your heart and your health deserves to know. Real science, real results, what the research reveals. I know some of you might still be wondering, okay, but is this really true? Is there any actual proof? And that's a fair question, because when you've been told for years or decades that intimacy after a certain age doesn't matter, it's hard to believe that something so private could have such a powerful effect on your health. But the science is clear, and more importantly, it's on your side. Let me share something remarkable with you. A large-scale study from the University of Finland followed men between the ages of 55 and 75 over a 5-year span. What they discovered was quietly revolutionary. Those who maintained regular sexual activity, either with a partner or through self-pleasure, showed significantly better cardiovascular health. Their hearts were stronger, their arteries more flexible, their blood pressure more stable. And that's not all. These same men also performed better on cognitive tests, memory, attention span, problem solving. Their minds stayed sharper, more agile, as if their bodies and brains were speaking the same language and rhythm, working together. Why? Because when you engage in sexual activity, you're not just releasing stress. You're stimulating systems that affect blood flow, hormone balance, and neurochemical communication. Your brain, your heart, and your hormones all get a boost. And then there's this. A study out of Harvard University tracked over 30,000 men for nearly 2 decades. Researchers found that men who ejaculated 21 times a month or more, again, through any means, solo or partnered, had up to a 30 lower risk of developing prostate cancer compared to those who did so less frequently. Let that sink in for a moment. This isn't about pleasure, it's about prevention. A simple act done in privacy without shame could support your longevity, protect your reproductive system, and reduce risk of one of the most common cancers among older men. And yet, no one's talking about it because we've been trained to stay silent, to believe that desire fades with age, or worse, that it should. But your body isn't outdated. It's simply waiting for permission. Permission to move, permission to feel, permission to stay alive. These aren't fringe ideas. They're evidence-based truths from top institutions that many of your own doctors may never mention. Not because they don't believe in them, but because they assume you wouldn't be open to hearing it, but you are open. You're here, you're listening, you're curious. And that's where transformation begins. So, if you've ever felt like your spark was dimming, maybe it's not aging, maybe it's just disconnection, and maybe, just maybe, the science is saying you can reconnect. John's story, rediscovering life after loss. Let me tell you about someone who reminds me so much of the men I meet every day. Someone who could just as easily be your neighbor, your brother, or maybe even a reflection of yourself. His name was John. He was 72 when he first came to see me, a retired mechanic from Ohio, a man with hands that had built engines, fixed tractors, and once lovingly restored an old Ford pickup from rust to shine. But when he walked into my office, he wasn't that man anymore. His shoulders slumped, his voice was quiet, his eyes tired in a way that went deeper than sleep. "It's like I've faded," he told me. "I still wake up, I still eat, I still go through the motions, but I don't feel like I'm really here anymore." John had lost his wife 2 years before. They had been together nearly 5 decades. He loved her fiercely, and when she passed, he said it felt like the lights in his house and inside himself had gone dim. He wasn't sleeping well, his blood pressure was creeping up. He'd stopped fixing things in his garage, the very place that used to bring him joy. He wasn't depressed exactly, but he wasn't living either. I gently asked him one day, "John, have you been taking care of your body in the private way?" He looked startled, then embarrassed, then quiet. After a long pause, he said, "No, not since she passed. It didn't feel right." And I guess I figured that part of life was over. I told him something I now want to tell you too. That part of your life isn't over. It may look different now, feel different, but it's still yours, and it still matters. We talked about what self-pleasure really is, not just a physical act, but a way of reconnecting with your body, your energy, your breath, yourself. John agreed to try just a few times a week, slowly, gently, without pressure or expectation. 6 weeks later, he came back. This time, there was color in his cheeks. He was sleeping through the night. His blood pressure was lower, but what struck me most was the way he smiled. "I started tinkering in the garage again," he said, "put on some old Johnny Cash and rebuilt the carburetor I'd been avoiding for months. I didn't even notice the hours passing. I just felt like me again." He paused, looked down, and then he said something I'll never forget. "Doc, I feel alive again." And that right there is the point. This isn't about replacing the past. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that are still here, still working, still quietly waiting to be seen and loved. Because life after loss doesn't have to be empty. Sometimes all it takes is one small yes to yourself. Why so many men let this part of themselves fade away? Over the years, I've had hundreds of conversations with older men, good men, wise men, hard-working, and deeply loving men who've quietly let this part of themselves go. They didn't do it because they wanted to. They did it because they thought they had to. Sometimes it started with grief, like John. Other times it came from a lifetime of silent conditioning, subtle messages planted early and repeated over and over. I've heard them say it plainly with a mix of shame and resignation. Real men don't do that. That's for younger people. I figured I was past my prime. No one ever told me it was healthy, not even my doctor. And then, the one that always makes my heart ache. I didn't think it mattered anymore. Somewhere along the way, society started telling men that their value was tied only to their strength, their work, or their ability to provide. But what happens when you retire? When the kids are grown? When your body changes and things don't work like they used to? Too often the answer becomes silence, disconnection, a quiet fading that no one talks about. And yet, so many feel. Magazines and media glorify youth. Commercials sell energy to 20-year-olds. Even healthcare providers rarely bring up sexual well-being once you hit a certain age, as if desire, curiosity, and physical connection are things you're just supposed to grow out of. But here's the truth. Your need for touch or closeness, for sensation, never retires. It doesn't disappear at 50 or 60 or even 85. What changes isn't the need. What changes is how we talk about it, or more often how we don't talk about it. When men begin to believe that this part of them no longer matters, something inside them starts to dim. It doesn't always show up in obvious ways. It can be a feeling of restlessness, irritability, a lack of motivation, loneliness. Even when surrounded by people, some men begin to withdraw. They stop fixing up their garage, lose interest in the books they once loved, or stay quiet around the dinner table. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they've forgotten how to feel heard. If any of that sounds familiar, please know this. You are not alone and you are not broken. There is nothing unnatural or shameful about wanting to feel alive in your body. No matter what age you are, the longing to connect with yourself, to feel warmth in your chest, peace in your sleep, and energy in your steps, that is not something to outgrow. It's something to return to. So, if you've been carrying quiet guilt or waiting for permission, consider this it. Not from society, not even from me, but from you to you. Let's keep going. There's more healing ahead than you might imagine. When we disconnect, what the body quietly suffers. There's something that happens when a man slowly turns away from his own body. It doesn't happen overnight. There's no sudden switch. It begins quietly, almost invisibly. Maybe it starts when sleep becomes harder. You wake up more often, restless, but not sure why. You notice your mood dips more easily. Not full sadness, but a lingering heaviness you can't quite explain. You stop reaching for the things you once loved, your tools, your books, your favorite chair by the window. And somewhere in the background, your body starts speaking up. Not with words, but with symptoms. Tension in your shoulders, racing heart after small tasks. A sense of distance not just from others, but from yourself. What most people don't realize is that self-disconnection comes with a cost, a real measurable cost. When you no longer engage with your body, especially in the way that releases pressure, restores balance, and brings pleasure, your nervous system stays on high alert. Stress hormones like cortisol build up. And when that happens, your immune system begins to weaken. You get sick more often. you take longer to heal. Minor aches turn into daily complaints. Circulation suffers. Without regular arousal and release, blood flow slows, especially to the areas that matter most: the brain, the heart, and yes, the pelvic region. Over time, this contributes to higher risk of cardiovascular issues and problems with prostate health, bladder function, and even mobility. And then there's the mind. The fog that rolls in isn't just a part of aging. In many cases, it's a sign that your brain is no longer receiving the stimulation it once did. Did you know that during sexual arousal, even without orgasm, your brain lights up like a Christmas tree? It boosts memory, it supports emotional regulation, it enhances clarity. So when that activity stops for months or years, it's like a part of you begins to dim, slowly, quietly, but unmistakably. And perhaps most painful of all is the emotional toll. Many men report feeling invisible, even to themselves, not because anyone told them they don't matter, but because they stopped doing the little things that reminded them they were alive, that they still had a right to feel joy, to experience connection, to take up space in the world fully and bodily. This isn't about shame. It's about restoration, because no matter how long it's been, your body is still listening, your nervous system is still responding, and your spirit is still waiting. What you're missing isn't youth, it's contact. And that contact can come back gently, safely, and on your terms. Let's talk about how to begin one step at a time, a restoration method, a gentle ritual for reconnection. By now, you've heard the science, you've heard the stories, and maybe something inside you is stirring, a quiet voice whispering, "Could this be for me too?" The answer is yes. This moment, this chapter of your life, is not too late. It's right on time. If you're ready to try, even with a little hesitation, let me walk you through what I call the restoration method. It's not a prescription, it's not a program, it's a ritual of care. One that many men over 60 have used to rediscover something powerful, their sense of self. Done just 2 to 3 times a week, this simple 5-step method can become a deeply personal act of healing. No pressure, no expectations, just curiosity, presence, and peace. Step 1. Preparation. Start by carving out a little time just for yourself. No phone, no clock, no interruptions. Choose a space where you feel calm. Your bedroom, your favorite chair, wherever you feel undisturbed. Soften the lights. Use pillows to support your back or hips. Have a soft towel nearby and a high-quality lubricant. Silicone-based is ideal for mature skin. This step is about saying to yourself, "I matter enough to make space." Step 2. Relaxation. Now, place one hand on your chest and breathe deeply. Inhale for 4 seconds. Exhale slowly for 6. Repeat this 10 times. Feel the tension melt from your shoulders. Let your heartbeat guide you inward. This is where the nervous system shifts from survival to safety, where your body begins to feel welcome again. Step 3. Awakening touch begins gently. Not in the most obvious places, but in the places we often forget. Run your hands over your inner thighs, your chest, your stomach. Feel the texture of your own skin. Explore without agenda. Notice without judgment. This is your time to ask, what feels good now? What surprises me? What do I want to stay with just a little longer? There's no rush. The goal here is curiosity, not climax. Step 4. Focus stimulation. If you feel ready, begin to introduce gentle, intentional stimulation, encompassing palm, a soft grip, slow movement, not to achieve, but to feel. Gland circulation. Light circles around the head, a way to awaken sensation gently. Root massage. Explore the space between the scrotum and anus. This area holds surprising strength and relaxation for the pelvic floor. Remember, this isn't about getting somewhere. It's about being with yourself fully, kindly. Step 5. Integration. As your session winds down, return to your breath. Feel your body, your heart, your stillness. If you can, jot a few words in a journal. I felt calm. I noticed warmth in my chest. I stayed with myself the whole time. These are private victories. Small lights turn back on in places that were quiet too long. Over time, this practice becomes more than a ritual. It becomes a return to energy, to confidence, to wholeness. So try it slowly, kindly, let it grow with you. You don't have to be young to feel alive. You just have to start listening again. Gentle reminders before you begin. What really matters most? Before you take that first step, before you light the lamp, lock the door, or close your eyes. Let's talk about the most important part of this journey, your mindset. Because how you approach this practice is more important than what you do. This isn't about performance, it's about presence. Let's start with the most common misunderstanding I hear from men. What if it doesn't lead anywhere? You may be thinking of the destination, of climax, of finishing, but here's the truth. That's not the goal. Not here, not now. The goal is reconnection. To feel yourself fully. To breathe without tension. To notice your body, not because it's doing something spectacular, but simply because it's yours. If something happens, wonderful. If nothing happens, that's wonderful too. You still showed up. You still honored yourself. That alone is success. Next, make it regular. You wouldn't expect a single stretch to loosen decades of stiffness or one salad to fix years of poor eating. This too is a form of care that works best with consistency. Try this practice 2 or 3 times a week, not to fix anything, but to support your body like you would with walking, hydration, or meditation. You're retraining your nervous system, teaching your body it's safe again. And that kind of healing takes rhythm. Third, take your time. Really, you've lived 6, 7, even 8 decades. Your body is wiser now. It doesn't respond to being rushed. That's why I always recommend setting aside 30 to 45 minutes for your session. Not because it will take that long, but because your body deserves the gift of slowness. This is not a race. This is a conversation. And the best ones are never hurried. Fourth, explore more than just the obvious. You are more than your genitals. Touch is not limited to one part of the body. Your inner thighs, your neck, your chest, your belly, they're all full of nerve endings, memory, and emotion. And sometimes the places that surprise you the most are the ones that need the most love. Give yourself permission to explore with curiosity, not critique. Your body will tell you what it likes. Just listen. And finally, let go of shame. This might be the hardest one. You may hear old voices in your head, cultural ones, religious ones, maybe even your own. But here's the truth, clear and simple. This is health. This is self-respect. This is you caring for your mind, your body, and your spirit. You wouldn't feel ashamed of checking your blood pressure. You wouldn't feel guilty for taking a walk or seeing a doctor. This is no different. So, breathe deeply, move gently. Begin when you're ready, because reclaiming this part of yourself isn't indulgent, it's restorative. And you, my friend, are worth restoring. If this message stirred something inside you, even just a quiet memory, a question, or a small sense of curiosity, you're not alone. Sometimes all it takes is one gentle reminder to begin again. If you feel a glimmer of hope, type that word in the comments below. It might be the first step in helping someone else feel seen, heard, and never too late to heal. Closing words, not just longer life, but deeper life. At this stage in life, it's easy to believe that the most meaningful chapters are behind us. But what if the richest part of your story is still waiting? Not out there, but within you. This journey isn't just about living longer. It's about living deeper with presence, with self-respect, with that quiet, steady flame of aliveness still burning inside you. So, before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Where are you watching from? What part of this message touched you most? And, if you're willing, what's one thing that has held you back from reconnecting with your body? Whether you share a lot or just type one word, your story matters. If this video gave you even a small sense of clarity, calm, or hope, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who may need it. You never know whose life could change just from hearing what you've heard today. So, take a breath, take your time, and when you're ready, let this be the first step back to yourself.